lower caste people. That's all. We don't have to thought about who should be the leader. Everyone can be the leader, right? By democratic means.
But sometimes people would worry that Andrew, because if you look at Raymond, because his voice is loud enough, people would listen to him. But they thought you would be too weak. That would you really be able to control the situation? I mean, you mentioned about consultation. I mean, conversation, dialogue. But is it an effective means? Sometimes, how could you calm down? How could you make long hair calm down? Sometimes, I mean, when he go mad, no one can really stop him. I mean, and when there's lots of internal struggles going on, and you mentioned that sometimes it's not really purely about policy or values. How would you really handle the situation?
Talking about long hair, he's a smart guy, and sometimes in our internal meeting he's very mild, and he can discuss with us very openly about his ideas, and before the doors. After going out, he will follow our policies. He's a gentleman, anyway. He may argue with you hotly within the meeting room, but after that, he will be okay. And he's a good friend of mine. I think he will respect me, and I will respect him as well. But so long hair is not a problem. Long hair is not a problem.
But of course, there might be non-friends in the party as well. I mean, you mentioned a bit non-hair as a buddy, but sometimes you really, as a leader, you may meet lots of people who might not be friends. But I
think this is a very important occasion for me to absorb the opinions, especially those against you. It's the elements of a leader, right? How to accommodate their different opinions. And this is a very important task for a party leader. For Raymond, he don't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Okay? If you don't follow me, go away. Sometimes he would do like this. A bit exaggeration, of course.
No, you're sure. I mean, some people would say, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And, that can
because
be a
for
good
the future
idea.
development of the RSD, you have to win more friends in the future. Not only the youngsters, but the middle class people, the middle-aged people. You have to win more fans. I think I'm confident about this, and I'll try my best to do so.
Matt, I know last time we talked about when you were in the jail, you read a bit about Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all sorts of political leaders. So I am sure throughout the days, besides you lost weight, you also gained lots of political wisdom in the jail. So what's your personal definition of good leadership?
Well, that is a good question, actually, because, there are lots of different types of political leaders, I would say. And in some ways, there's no, right way to do it, I would say. In some ways, a person's just got to be themselves and explain to people, each person in the group, exactly why they do things the way they are. Good political leaders sometimes are very different. But saying that, I would say a political leader has to have a direction. They have to be, roughly know
a vision,
which direction they're going.
Very clear vision to lead the party.
Because that's another good. I've got some more questions going on to what I want to ask you more, Andrew. I think in terms of the direction that LSD is going, and indeed the whole democracy movement as a whole. Because obviously, there are problems within the movement, aren't they? And perhaps problems within LSD about direction, and different people have got opinions and stuff. But as a foreigner here, who's lived here a long time, who's an outside,
have a permanent Hong Kong resident.
I am. But as a sort of an observer, I can see that there are problems with the direction a little bit of the democracy movement, and perhaps I'm constantly saying to people, what can Hong Kong learn about other countries, about the direction they're going, about other democratic movements that have happened in history, about how they did it, how they achieved power. What's your thought initially on that, Andrew?
From my experience, I think the democratic movement of Hong Kong is now in a corner. We are now pushed into the corner because everyone thinks the decision is made by the Chinese government. central government. Okay, and I believe that we have to fight for it through non-institutional means. That means we go back to the streets. The legacy of the Democratic Party and even the Civic Party, they focus their attention in the Legislative Council. But I don't think democracy can be achieved just through institutional means. That means you ask questions, you debate. The central government will not listen to your logic. So we have to go back to the streets. We organize more people. We mobilize more people to join our movement. And this is very important. And what's different from the LSD from Democratic Party and the Civic Party is that very simple. We have to care about the interests of the lower caste people. For the lower caste people, they have to work more than 12 hours a day, $6,000 a month. How can they spend the time in the democratic movement?
But the question is, Andrew, here is you mentioned a bit about the institutional means might not be as effective, but in the meantime, you mentioned that going back to the street might be one solution. But how effective is that solution anyway? Because, I mean, every July the 1st, you do see people going on the street. You do have people shouting slogans all the time. But does that make any difference? The only difference may be that you experience your own first handcuff. I don't see it. Is there anything being really achieved there?
Yeah, but we have to continue that struggle. And we have to make use of the platform of the Legislative Council to mobilize the people. Just like the LSD. Why we throw the bananas. Okay? Why we break the rules of the Legislative Council. Simply because we want to remind the people this is a ridiculous system. Okay? You come out. From the experience of other countries, only people coming out can we be able to achieve democracy. And we have to show to the central government that if you don't solve this problem, the political future of Hong Kong, it will have more troubles.
I mean, I agree with your first point about the
going back to the streets.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, you're right. I think in terms of democracy, you're not going to win it through little sort of highbrow arguments in the Legislative Council. Because I mean, Donald Tsang is clever. He actually wants he wants a few LSD legislators in the council in some ways because it kind or certainly democratic legislators because it makes him look like it's kind of democratic in there by having a few spokesmen. It's a kind of clever way of
it's just a window dressing.
It is window dressing, but it's a clever way of making people, okay, we're going to listen to you and blah blah blah, but we're not going to give you any real power. But going to your second point, I mean, you're right. I personally agree with you. Hong Kong, we need to go back to the streets. But the question is, in what form do people gather and protest on the streets? I think because there are many different ways of doing it. Actually,
the LSD was using the internet to mobilize the people, but that's not enough because most of the Hong Kong people don't care about the internet. Okay, that means we have to go back to the streets. We distribute the leaflets. We have to make great efforts to do so. In the past, the DP, the Civic Party, they don't care about us. We have to do more work on this.
Yeah, I mean, and asking some. We're running out of time. We're going to have to go for the second half, and we've got some more questions I want to ask you.
See you in next session.
Okay, see you in the next session.